without, I guess, further ado, I do want to introduce Victoria, and thank you so much for being here. She's a educator for PetScreening, which is a national company, actually probably international at this point, because I know we have pets all over the world. So, Victoria, you want to go ahead and tell us what you have for us today, please?
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here and for allowing me to join your group. I'm down here in South Carolina, and I've been in the property management industry for this year, April. Yeah, and next month will be 40 years I've been in property management. Started off as a leasing agent at 18 years old, popping people's children on my hips so they could look at an apartment and helping them find their homes. And so, love what we do. We are the housing heroes, I think, in the country. So, I would first begin by celebrating you all, the work that you do, helping people find homes and taking care of them so that they have a great home base, pardon the pun, from which to do great things in life, I think is wonderful and admirable work. So thank you for it. Today, now I'm 5 years at PetScreening, and I am now the Vice President of Education. Started off as employee 18. We're now over 180 strong at PetScreening. And we help all of our clients deal with their pets and their assistance animals in rental properties of all kinds. And I only introduce that to you here at this moment because it will give you some understanding where some of our knowledge and information that you'll hear today comes from, not only from my background in the business, but from what we're doing in nearly 8 million doors, rental doors in the country. Right. So, and I see some eyes going wide. Yeah, we are big dogs over here. And I do not apologize for pet puns. So there. All right, so we're going to talk about pets are the new kids. When I had my last portfolio before I came over to the supplier side, at one point that portfolio was 20 assets strong, seven manufactured housing communities, some of them with hundreds of lots each. 13 apartment communities, five, six, seven, eight HOAs. And so, I was in all the areas, all the things. And so I really honed in on asset value, in addition to, making sure we've got our risk management down and hiring great people and, having a good physical asset. The risk management and the revenue management were really, really big for me. And I imagine they are for everybody. But I kind of geek out over the risk and revenue management side. And you'll see a little bit about that today because pets, as much as I love them, these are cartoon versions of my three kitty cats. Pets are powerful in our industry in terms of what they do for folks personally, what happens in communal settings, if some of you have smaller communities, and in terms of what happens to your NOI and or for properties valued based on NOI, what happens to your property values. Pets are just powerful, and that's just the most direct statement I can give you. And in today's world, you're going to find out why we call this pets are the new kids. So let's talk about pet passions on the behalf of our renters. The renter generations, their struggles finding a good rental that fits their family, furry family and all. Policy, that should say policy evaluations and recommendations, and bottom line impacts, right? That's where we're going to get back down to the numbers and the cents. We won't be doing any the fair housing components that I normally include in Pets Are the New Kids this time because we're going to do the whole You Bet Your Assets session next month. Sarah liked that one, and thank you for the message, Sarah. Yeah, you bet your assets on your understanding of fair housing. And I want to help you make that a safer bet. So let's spend time together next month and do some more of that. So, with that said, let's get into it. Are you pet friendly in your rentals? Or are you pet passionate? They really want pet passion from you now. They really do. And so here's why 70+% of US households have one or more pets in the household. And in 2022, and I'm updating all my stats this week, John, it just so happens. In 2022, 40% of US families, the next statistic I'm going to share on that, it's actually down a couple more points. 40% of families, I think it's down, my new stats down to 38%, actually have a child under the age of 18 living in their home. And according to Zillow, now there's lots of sources for every one of these stats, but according to Zillow, only 57% of rentals actually still allow pets. With 70+% of homes having pets or assistance animals and 57% allowing them, is that bad math? I think it is, right? So continuing the pet friendly or pet passionate, first, is that child just not the cutest child you've ever seen? I really just want to grab those cheeks. So let's do a few more of these stats and just talk about why this is so important. While 70+% of homes have pets, and I'm going to always say pets or assistance animals, right? 97% of us consider those furry creatures, or maybe not so furry creatures. There's a bearded dragon in my daughter's bedroom. Uh, 97% of us consider these creatures family. Family. Now, the other 3%, I have a theory on them. They're not just mean people. My theory on them is they got together with someone who had a pet, and the pet's a jerk, and they don't like their pet for their partner, and they're just waiting for that thing to kick the bucket. And I can kind of understand that. Sometimes if you don't pick the pet, it might not be your pet, right? But 97% of people consider their pets actually family, right? Pet owners are even staying at jobs they don't like rather, because of the benefits for their pets. Is that they're allowed to work from home a certain percentage of time? People who work at PetScreening, who work at our corporate office, are allowed to work from home 40% of the time, Mondays and Fridays. Is because they're allowed to take their pets to work. People who work at PetScreening have yards, physical yards, dog-eared fencing around their desks, and are allowed to bring their pets to work. Some of them are, one or two of them even bring cats, but that place is dog wild, right? Or is it because they have pet insurance? Pet care insurance, that's a huge market. You just Google pet insurance and see what happens. And then here's just an example of how much we think pets are our family. There's an attorney who is suing the IRS to force them to recognize her dog. Finnegan Mary Reynolds is the name of the dog. Finnegan Mary Reynolds. Okay, just that alone tells you something. She is suing, Amanda Reynolds is suing to force the IRS in the Eastern District of New York, arguing that her pooch relies completely on her for food, shelter, medical care, training, transportation, and more. Isn't that a dependent? Right? So she's trying to make them consider her dog a dependent. And then you can Google this phrase if you've never heard it before, dinkwads. I think most of us have heard of dinks, double income, no kid households, but with a dog. Dinkwads. I was just in Seattle. They have the largest population of dinkwads in the country, over 250,000 of them. I mean, wow, right? Now let's talk about our renters, right? Because we have to think about where the country is, where our renters are, and then formulate our policies, right? It's not just what do we believe or what we want, because there's implications. We're going to learn about those. So in 2024, people spent $152 billion on their pets in this country. We're going to put a pin in that and come back to it in a minute. Let's hit a couple other details. Gen Z and millennials make up the bulk of your renter base, right? My new stat's a little down on this because I guess as we age, we also need less space. And a lot of the older generations are coming back into the rental market. So it's kind of constantly flexing. But when I checked this not that long ago, they were 72% of your renters, and they already owned 49% of the pets in the country. Now, the youngest Gen Zs are 14 years old. So this number is only going to go up, right, as they become adults. Now, Gen Z, because again, they're going to be a driving force for us, right? Gen Z wants a variety of pets. They spoil their pets. They take their pet's birthday off, their gotcha day or birthday off. They throw it a party. It starts with a pup cup at the drive-in at Starbucks. Then they go shopping. Then they have a party at the Bark Park in their neighborhood, right? And they spend on their pets. Back to this, 152 billion. Last year, it was on track to hit 157 billion. A $5 billion jump in less than 2 years. 5 billion. Now, I don't even know how to make sense of $157 billion, so I came up with something really wacky. We all understand the price of automobiles, right? So do you know what this number actually represents? You could buy a car for every person living in the 5 least populated states in our country. And those states are South Dakota, North Dakota, Alaska, Vermont, and Wyoming. Sneaky Ninjas ate vanilla waffles. That's how I remember that one. So, or vanilla wafers. So those are your 5 least populated states. You could buy a $42,000 automobile every year for every person in each one of those states for what we spend on our pets. Now, does that not put that into perspective for us? Wowza. The average individual will spend between $1,500 and $5,000 a year per pet. That's telling. That's telling. And I've read numerous articles that say to us that people are putting off having children because they're far too expensive. They're way more than $1,500 to $5,000 a year. If you've got children, you know this, right? They're putting off having children, and pets are what they are using to fulfill their maternal, paternal instincts until they get there. They're also their starter kids. Pets are the new kids. They're their starter kids. They need feeding and exercise and doctor visits, and they need all the things. They're a tiny child. And I will tell you, I think dogs are toddlers and cats are teenagers. So that's my analysis of it. And as I said, millennials are going to drive this and Gen Z are going to drive this. 76% of millennials own pets. Like we're not getting away from this. And I find the single family rental side of our industry is the most resistant to saying, okay, I'm just going to become pet wild because all my renters are, right? As we think about the damage and the problems. But today we're going to talk about all the reasons we have to say yes. But again, finding a home with pets isn't perfect, right? We're more pet tolerant than we are pet passionate. Apartments.com says 75% of renters have pets or assistance animals. And obviously, that's because they're looking at how people are searching for their homes. So I will say this, if you think the people moving into your rentals don't all have pets, 30% of pets or assistance animals arrive during the lease. So if they don't have them when they move in, 30% of them are getting them while they're there, right? And they still know that it's a hassle trying to find, pet-friendly rentals. They believe our restrictions are too strict, and 60% as a result struggle to find a place to live. But look at this quote. In a property management industry, attracting renters and keeping them. Those are the two biggest tasks. Find them and keep them, right? Sit on them like the golden egg that they are. Look at this quote from Apartments.com spokesperson. Clearly, pets are a deal breaker. For many, and apartment buildings with more flexible pet policies will be the ones to attract this growing group of pet owning renters and possibly keep them for longer. Two of our biggest jobs are attracting renters and keeping them. And their Apartments.com is telling you the secrets to how to do that. Nearly all pet owners surveyed said pet policies play a major role in their decision of where to live. I have read numerous times it's the number two thing that most people are considering after budget, maybe three: budget, location, and pet policies. But let's take a moment. I just want to ask for the audience participation part of this. I think you guys can all raise your hands probably. So raise your hands if you have a pet. Right? Yep. So I'm seeing some folks on screen raising their hands. We've got more folks off screen. But when I'm in a room, I've been in rooms where I've asked who has pets in the room. And there's two people who don't. I was in a room with 160 people at a mental health session that I offer, asking this. And there might have been 10 people in the room that don't have pets. So I think probably most of us know, but let's kind of make a list of it and look at what pets are actually doing for people, because this is what they're doing for your renters. And so we have to think, do we want to deny them this, right? Physical exercise is the number one benefit of having a pet, according to the Animal Health Foundation. 60% of dog owners who take their dogs for regular walks are considered to get more moderate or vigorous exercise. Spending time with pets decreases cortisol levels, a hormone activated by stress. Stress is a number one top problem in our country. Leads to 120,000 deaths a year. Stress causing 120,000 deaths a year in the country. Having a cat or dog helps people lower their blood pressure from spikes. One study found people with cats are 40% less likely to have fatal heart attacks. The National Institute of Mental Health recognizes assistance animal therapy as a treatment for depression and other mood disorders. Anxiety disorders and depression and other mood disorders are top two mental health concerns in the country, right? So we talk about all these problems and what are we going to do about these problems? Pets answer a lot of these problems for people. So let's go on from here. Somehow, kids living with pets in their homes are exposed to dogs and cats as babies are half as likely to have allergies and risk factors for asthma versus those with no pets. Just love seeing more kids able to exercise without asthma, right? Owning a cat cuts a person's risk of having a stroke by more than a third. I've got 3 cats. I'm never going to have a stroke. One third, one third, one third. I'm covered, right? Pets promote relaxation. And 80% of pet owners say their pet makes them feel less lonely. 54% say their pet helps them connect with other people, which increases a sense of community. And that's always a fabulous thing for us. If people feel a sense of community where they live, they do what? They stay. They stay. We want to attract them and keep them. They're the little golden eggs, and we're the geese. A study in the Journal of Science on this last one, as reported by Harvard Health Publishing, talked about how oxytocin is boosted in dogs and humans when they're together, right? So this is amazing. So let's have a policy evaluation. I've done some research for you, and you're like, okay, I get it, I get it. People want their doggone pets, pun intended. What do I do about all this? Let's look at the research. Let's look at the top most popular creatures and back into our policies from that. 7 of the top 32 most popular dog breeds are often prohibited. Right. So we have to consider our dog breed restrictions that we have. And not everybody's renting with dog breed restrictions. I saw something today that only about 34% of rentals don't have dog breed restrictions, and about, well, maybe it was 34 don't have the weight, and I think it was 22% don't have the restrictions for breed, right? So we're getting there. Weight. It's a mistaken idea that larger breeds lead to more damage. Frankly, it's the little tiny dogs I'm always seeing when I was out in rentals and with people that are always the ones urinating, when they're excited, when they're, when they're scared, they're just the less confident little creatures, and that seems to be their response. But, breed is not equal to damage. Weight is not equal to damage. And the most popular breeds are often prohibited. 7 of the top 32. 3 of the top 9 ESAs are prohibited breeds, right? So they're de facto assistance animal accommodation requests, or that the public relies on them heavily. Consider your insurance when you're thinking about your breed restrictions. Also consider the fact that there are operators out there who do not have any breed or weight restrictions, and they too are insured. So if your insurance company has you thinking there's nothing you can do about this, I would submit to you that's wrong. There are insurance providers out there. Just look up MAA. They're one of the largest multifamily housing providers in the country. MAA, as in Michael Adam. They've been operating without breed or weight restrictions for a really long time. And then consider your local restrictions. There may still be some localities that are pushing breed restrictions within their locality. So you do have to think about your insurance if you're willing. What does it say? And sometimes we haven't looked at it in so long, your insurance company might not have restrictions anymore on you because they know all the assistance animals are out there and there are all sorts of breeds. So think about your insurance, do some research with them, think about whether or not it's too restrictive and you might want other insurance providers, right? Consider your local restrictions and then look at the most popular animals. This is from the research that I did, though. Again, 7 of the top 32 are often prohibited. Weight restrictions. If you look at the top 25 and you just do an average weight of the top 25 most popular breeds, that's 36 pounds. But that math isn't all the math there is to do. There's more math to that math than that. You have to look at the top 10. 10 of those top 25 are 59 pounds. So if you just went with the 36 pound, you'd still be eliminating 40% of the top 40% of the most popular breeds, right? So we've got to do all the math. Look at the exotics. 72% of our renters are Gen Z and millennials, and they're the most likely to want a variety of pets. They want their cats, their dogs. They also want their bearded dragons, their snakes, and their other lizards. I don't know if you've been in a pet store recently, but half the time I'm in a pet store, I spot somebody walking around with a bearded dragon stuck to their shirt. They're very popular, and they do nothing in your rental but sit under a lamp on a hot rock. The most active that thing gets when my daughter takes it out is she'll play Fruit Ninja on her phone with it, and it uses its tongue to try to catch the fruit. That's as energetic as that little creature gets. It's not going to do anything to your rental, and they want them. Number of pets, 35% of Americans, they say, have more than one pet. I think I use that stat here, but I'll also tell you the statistic is if you have a dog, you have 1.6 dogs. And if you have a cat, you have 1.8 cats. I'm not sure what a 0.6 or 0.8 kitty looks like, but it's a little weird. But millions upon millions upon millions of homes in the country have a dog, and they have 1.6. That's telling you it's tipping the scale towards 2. So think about that. What do people want? Cats are, creatures who usually like to have another cat, right? They take care of each other. Dogs are pack creatures. They want friends as well. Now think about your pet charges. We don't want to get into any Sherman antitrust, but I will say that we generally see, in my experience, where it's permissible. In some states, it's not. Washington, D.C. just passed a law where you can't really have breed or weight restrictions, and you can't charge more than 1% of the monthly rent for a monthly pet fee, for instance. But pet charges elsewhere in the country are running $20 to $50 a month. Initial pet fees, 2 to 500. Initial pet deposits, 250 to 500. These are not abnormal. And so if your big concern is they're going to damage the housing, nationally, that damage is about $210. You can take care of that with an initial pet fee. And you're thinking to yourself, but I've seen them where they've chewed up everything in the house and ruined all the flooring. Correct. But if 70% of homes, whether you have registered them or not, have pets in them, do 70% of your move outs have ruined molding and all ruined floors? They don't, right? And 70% of them probably do have pets in there, whether we know that or not. So think about that as well. So here's your recommendations from us to you. And again, we're in 1 in 7 rental doors in the country. So consider having a conversation with yourself about eliminating breed and weight restrictions entirely. That will give you a corner on the market. Consider having other means of evaluating your pets because breed and weight does not tell all the story. You need to know more about the owner. You need to know more about the pet's training and whether or not it has damaging bite habits and whether or not it's potty trained, right? There's much more to this story. Consider permitting the exotic pets, have some policies and have some limitations, right? You don't want probably hundreds of pounds of snake in your rentals, possibly. But, consider your policies. Look up the most popular exotic pets. I'll tell you, the bearded dragons are pretty high up there. Hedgehogs are pretty high up there as well as our guinea pigs. Although I'm not sure how exotic a guinea pig is. All right, consider permitting 2 or 3 pets. I used to have just a total poundage, puppy poundage, like you could go up to 80 pounds of puppy in the house. And so for some people that might mean 3 of the smaller dogs and they've got a little yippy pack, right? So but consider permitting 2 or 3 pets and then your exotics that are caged on top of that. Be vaccination vigilant. I found as an operator more often than not my team members were getting bitten more than anybody else. My team members, my contractors, and I absolutely needed to know that there was a rabies vaccination in place here, right? We need to know that people don't have to go through that if they're bitten, on top of being bitten. And here's something else I suggest highly because you're going to have them anyway. Might as well get the risk and the reward, right? Because the unknown risk is still your risk, even if you don't know it's there, because those plaintiff attorneys are going to get you with what did you know, what should you have known, and what did you do about it, right? Because even if you didn't know it, the next question is, well, why didn't you? You should have known it. Aren't you all knowing, right? Omnipotent and omniscient. No, we're not. So consider allowing visiting pets and charge a fee for it. If your renter's mom says, I'm going on a cruise and I want you to take care of my dog, and mom could spend up to $110 a day for doggy boarding. 110 a day is the top price I have found. That's the one where it's like a Hilton and they've got a little camera for them and everything, right? And they can just, a microphone, they can dispense treats for them when they talk to them so that the puppy's not mad when they get home, right? All the things. But if mom's going on a cruise and easy boarding is north of $40 a day, $60 a day is probably more normal for something decent, up to 110 bucks a day. If mom says to her son or daughter in your rental, would you take care of Marley while I'm gone? They're going to want to say yes. Give them a way to be able to say yes. Have them go through whatever your, not a double entendre here, have them go through whatever your pet screening is, right? So you can see the risk and decide what you're going to take on or not, and have them pay, right? Risk and reward. And then make sure you have SOPs to cover any behavioral complaints so that you know what to do. Is there a barking problem? Is there an off-leash problem? Is there a waste problem? Have the SOPs around the biggest complaints because those are the biggest complaints. But allow the visiting pets and moreover, issue a fine that's 2.5 to 3 times the price of a visiting pet policy for unauthorized pets or visiting, even if they're just visiting, right? So this gives you the opportunity to have a healthier, better managed pet environment for their furry family. And y'all, if you own a dog on this, I'm telling the truth. Some of these dogs are $6, $8, $10,000, right? And so they want to know that we're trying to run healthier, better managed pet environments. But what does all this mean for you? Let's cover a couple of the bottom line impacts. With increased pet disclosure from your growing pet positivity, right? Because they're going to hide them less if you're more positive about it. You'll have a greater opportunity to actually decide which pets do and don't move into your rentals, right? We want you to be in control because you're going to be responsible, right? So you should have the control. And with a good system of vaccination tracking, you'll have a decreased presence of unvaccinated pets, creating a healthier, better managed pet environment, and you'll have more traffic. Pet policy, I've read, is number two, as I said earlier, second to budget in apartment searches. I'm thinking it's two or three. Affordability, location, and then pets, right? You'll get more applications. I've read that pet friendly housing, pet passionate housing, truly pet passionate housing receives twice as many applicants. And the largest segment of our renters want pet passion from us. And property managers say 83% of them say they fill their vacancies faster, and 79% say they fill their vacancies easier with better pet policies. A few more of the bottom lines for us. Reduce turnover. Again, secret of the business. Retain, retain, retain. Pets are the reason, watch this, for 24% of the moves. That's huge. They don't have enough pet positivity where they are. They want to get that second or third kitty or dog for their kitties or dogs. They want to get a breed that you don't allow or have a weight that you don't allow. So by contrast, one of our clients boosted an 80% renewal rate when they dropped breed and weight restrictions. Imagine if 80% of your renters were renewed. You can lengthen the duration of their occupancy. Watch this math. Instead of them staying on average 27 and a half months, imagine increasing their duration of stay 21%, taking them up to 33 months. Using an average rent for all of my examples of $1,800, that takes them from a value of $49,500 to $59,400. That's $9,900. Let's just call that 10 grand. Imagine making each of your renters who moves into a rental 10 grand more valuable to you. And then imagine decreasing your vacancy time, renting 10 days faster. Again, at $1,800, the math is easy. It's $60 a day. Imagine if every move-in is worth $600 more because they move in that much faster, right? That's incredible. And then imagine improving the overall occupancy of your holdings. 4% is what my research has shown me. So look at your portfolio. Times 0.04, how many more doors would be rented, even if they're rented for 3 or 6 months of the year, times your average rent? What does that mean to you? It's amazing financial implications, right? And then lastly, for measuring your success, go ahead, increase those pet numbers. You'll see a decrease in the number of assistance animal submissions that you're going to get as you improve your pet passion, right? Those de facto assistance animal numbers will go down. And if each new pet is worth $600 the first year to you, $300 at move in, $25 a month, if you are running assets where you're at, or if you're thinking about selling your business in the future, where it will be worth a multiplier of your NOI, at a 5 cap, $600 is worth 12 grand, $12,000 for every pet. We should be chasing them like little wet piggies at the state fair with a $12,000 little bank account around their necks. All right, so what does this mean for us? We're winding down. We've got just a couple of slides left. If you evaluate your policies, right, and you come up more pet positive, of course, whoever's helping you lease has to be trained. Like this is change management here, right? Whoever's helping you with your leasing has to go through a little bit of an updating in their training. Your policies have to be updated. Your marketing has to be updated. And you've got to share that pet passionate message, right? Tell your existing renters if you become more pet passionate and pet positive, because they might be sitting at home thinking about your former policies that they know about, that you're not pet passionate enough. And once they find that other rental, while moving is a hassle, they get a little excited about change sometimes. And once they find that other rental and sometimes put money down on it, it's too late to tell them, oh, wait, we've updated our policies. So train your teams, train your renters, and update your SOPs, right? And from a leasing perspective, always invite, if they tell you they have a pet, I always would ask folks either electronically or on the phone, are you going to be bringing any furry family with you, right? And what are their names? Just get them happy talking about it, right? Support pet adoption initiatives in your area. Offer pet nourishment if you do take folks on tours. Always have a couple of treats with you. If you have pet spas near you or bark parks, let them know about that, right? If there's regular pet events in your area, or if you know of great mobile pet services like the mobile groomers in your area, telling them all of that. Be pet ambassadors. This is when they'll know you're really pet passionate. Not only are your policies welcoming, but you're going to tell them the best places to go walk and play, the best service providers in your area, right? All of those things. You're going to become a pet ambassador because pets really are the new kids. Now, pun intended, because this is my bunny, we're here towards the tail end. Let's review a couple of stats. We're going to drive this home. 70+% of homes have pets. 40, it's actually down to 38 now, the most recent stat when I update this deck this week. 38% of families now have children below the age of 18 living in their home. And our biggest renter generations are our Gen Z and millennials. And so that's 14 to, I believe, 49, right? And so many of those folks aren't renters yet. So they're just going to become an even bigger factor for us. They already own more than half, I think my new number is 57%, of all the pets in the country. This is not turning around, so it's time to jump on board and just make sure you get paid enough to make it worthwhile. And again, 97% of them view their pets as family. The other 3% have jerky creatures that came with their partner, right? It's okay. 152 billion in 2024. That went up to 157 billion last year. $42,000 car for everybody in those 5 least populated states. Those numbers should surprise us, right? Those should be a surprise to folks on the call. But let's talk about the dollars and why this makes sense, pun intended. With great pet policies, again, you can lengthen the average stay by 21%. You could turn a renter into a $10,000 more valuable renter each time they move in with a pet because you have more pet positive values and policies for them. With great pet policies, you'll attract more pet lovers. You'll see more documented pets in your communities. If you move in just 20 new pets a year, right? That's another $600 per pet. That's $12,000 being added to your portfolio NOI. And again, if you're capping that to think about selling your business in the future at a 5 cap, 12 grand's worth nearly $250,000. Think about that. And then this one here with great pet policies, I found one source, as I said earlier, that said they can move in 10 days faster. If you have, 200 doors, right? If somebody has 200 doors, thinking about people moving in 10 days faster, that could easily lend itself to, another $42,000 a year being dropped into NOI. And again, 5 capping that's 840 grand. And then lastly, we talked about the 4% boost in occupancy, right? Using the same 200 doors. If you have just 8 more doors rented a year at $1,800, just $1,800 on those, that's another 173 grand added to your NOI and potentially, again, at a 5 cap, a $3.5 million property value boost. So this cat ought to have a superhero cape on her because they're powerful. They're powerful. They really are. All right. And John mentioned at the outset a little gift, which is our workbook. And why do I do that? And why do you see so much movement in our deck and things of that nature? Because I'm trying to boost your retention. When you're at an event like this, and I know lots of folks are doing a little double duty while they're sitting there listening to me in the background, doing a little this or that, you lose about 80% of what you hear in a session like this by spending a few minutes really concentrating when you're with me, listening, taking a few notes, and reviewing the materials. You can flip that 80/20 to 20/80, and I'd like that for all of you all, right? And I'd like you to really think about this. And then in that workbook, you'll see, some additional resources there for you. Now, because PetScreening has dedicated an entire employee to educating the industry, both associations and companies at no cost, I always treat us like a sponsor and give a 2 to 3 minute infomercial about what we do. So if you'll bear with me, I want to do that. And then on the next slide, I'm going to ask you guys for a favor. So stay tuned and ready to do a favor, if you will, if you consider this session worthwhile and the information you received here today to be a gift and a courtesy to you. I'd like one back. But here, PetScreening, what are we doing? We're integrating with your software to help you with this whole discussion of pets and assistance animals. It starts with an email out to your applicants where we ask them to go to your landing page that we'll create for you. And there they will see 3 profiles, digital records, 3 profiles they can choose from to complete. There's a no pet profile, huge value for you in operating your communities and being able to hold people accountable for following your policies. Also, tremendous value in risk management. We'll hit that in a minute. So no pet profile, household pet profile, great value here, and assistance animal profile. That no pet profile, they have to check off, I understand and agree, to 6 or 7 affirmations. And one of those says, I understand and agree that there will be absolutely no pet sitting, no pet visitation for any length of time, inside or outside my rental unit. Now imagine there's a dog bite lawsuit, 65 to 200K at a minimum, tens of millions when it's really bad. Imagine that hits your desk. And imagine you go to your pet screening platform and there's a no pet profile. What did you know? What should you know? What'd you do about it? Check, 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 check. Hand them the no pet profile. And we're going to ask them to do that no pet profile for you before they move in, and you should not let them move in or even tell them they're approved for the rental without it. And then we're going to ask them to renew it every 12 months. And you should be our partner in helping us do that because they're having to say those affirmations every 12 months, right? And check those off. So you've got good, fresh risk management at all times. Nobody can say they didn't understand, they didn't realize, they misunderstood, when you've got two, three, four, five of these in the tank. Now, the household pet profile, we're going to give every pet a score from 0 or 1 to 5 paw FIDO score. You tell us what your zeros are. What are you saying no to? We've got several areas where you can tell us what your no's are. And we'll send you and your team zeros for those animals. That means your standards have been triggered by what has been shared with us. A 0 should mean for you, no. 1 to 5 is us telling you how suitable that pet and pet parent combination, because that's really what's at stake here. That pet and pet parent combination, that's what's relevant. We'll tell you how suitable they are for your rental housing in that 1 to 5 paw FIDO score, right? And then the assistance animal. The assistance animal profile is also the process. I'm going to tell you next month how to take care of yourself and be consistent, confident, and graceful, and how to have a safe bet instead of betting fully your assets, right? On your understanding solely of assistance animals in housing. But we can do that work for you, right? There's no charge for the no pet profile. There's no charge for the assistance animal profile or the work our team of 40 plus assistance animal reviewers will do for you and our attorneys, right? There's no charge for that. The only fee we pass along for our work is for the household pet profile. They will pay that. They'll pay us $25 or $30 one time a year. With everything you've learned about their pet passions, do you think they're worried about 25 or 30 bucks once a year? Not to mention, the profile, which both the assistance animal parents and the pet parents get, is clickable and shareable. Do they have a new groomer, new dog walker, new veterinarian? Click and share. But it's also a pet amenity. They're going to get 6 months of free televet visits if they'd like to receive our offers for themselves as pet parents. One of them is 6 months of free televet. Imagine they're new in the area, they don't have a veterinarian, and their puppy is sick the next morning. Free televet visits. There's a free Tractive. If you've heard of the radio collars, the Tractive radio collars are $78. They don't give those away to anybody except our clients because they know we're in nearly 8 million doors. So the collar's free. We have a lost and found, the first of its kind Amber Alert system for pets in the country, where we will text message the people around the pet parent or the assistance animal parent who says, my pet or assistance animal that I registered with Fido Tabby Alert and I got a stainless steel custom etched tag for is now lost. We're going to send a text message to everybody in a 5 mile radius around that pet parent and help get that pet home. Tens of thousands of pets have found their way home. And that Fido Tabby Alert is free. The Tractive collar is free. The 6 months of televet's free. This is truly a pet perk. And they're going to pay 25 or 30 bucks once a year for it. So it's your data management and your time management. It's also your risk and your revenue management. When every person who's moving into any of the doors in your portfolio must go through this, you can see as much as a 20% lift in your documented pet population. Do the math. What do you charge for them? Imagine that lifting similarly. So with that, I want to say you can learn more at PetScreening.com. We don't ask you for a contract and we don't charge you anything. Not to set it up, not to train you, not for any of our assistance animal work that we will do for you, dated and timestamped back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because you know those conversations do go back and forth. We're not going to charge you for any of that. So if you found this session valuable, I hope you'll give me 5 paws. But please also tell me what you like about it. What would you like to see different? What else would you like to have any information about? If it's in my wheelhouse and I can do it authentically, I can always use new session ideas. I appreciate that. But that QR code will help you get to our survey landing page. And I would really appreciate it if you give me just a minute so that they know that education like this being offered here at Pet Screening is valuable to the industry and that they should keep supporting it. All right, with that, John, I'm happy to answer any questions. I do see you do have someone's hand raised.
Wow, such great information. I had no idea some of this. You've educated us so much, Victoria. I thank you. Yeah, we do have some questions. Anne, I think you got your hand raised. You want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, please? You there, Ann? Let's see. I see your hand, but I don't. Yeah, well, maybe you can unmute yourself. Let's go ahead and then I think Renee had a question here too that she put in the chat. Renee, are you there?
Yes, hi. Just curious, say you have a renter who like the first couple of years is signing the no pet policy, and then like year three they decide they want to get a pet. Can they just switch over and pay the fee and do and fill out the profile?
They can, but it's still going to come to you. You're still going to know about it, right? And you still have the opportunity, of course, to have them fill out your pet documentation that you might have, right? So, yes, anybody at any time can go back to the landing page and say, I'm going to go ahead and complete a pet profile. You could find a renter has a pet and say, you need to go ahead and get that registered. Go back to the landing page. Here's
Hmm.
the URL, here's the QR code, however you'd like to do that, and get them to tell you all about that pet. So you can then learn whether or not you're going to be willing to welcome that pet into your rental. So yes, they can go from no pet to pet. We get a lot of people who start off as an assistance animal requester, and I'm going to be graceful and say they're mistaken, and they convert their assistance animal request to a pet request and move forward that way. Right. So, yes, they can do that, and you will have the knowledge of that and the opportunity to make sure there's a match for you that you want them there.
So I assume you're aware of the well, I mean, assistance at that's kind of a long, I don't want to take up too much time, but I mean, service animals and emotional support animals are two separate.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Assistance animals is the umbrella for both service and support. And of
Oh, okay.
And of course, there's no, we highly recommend, and we'll go through all of this next month. We highly recommend there should not be any charges for those. They're asking for reasonable accommodation for this assistance animal, whether it's service or support, right? And so we're going to go through all of that next month during Fair Housing Month.
Awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure, Renee.
Hmm. Wow.
Hey, John.
Yes. Hello.
Victoria, we've been a client of yours for several years,
Oh, Dave.
Thank you,
and
Dave.
uh, and I got to tell you, I think you've made a lot of changes since we started. And
Mhm.
I'm not involved in day-to-day operations, so I don't know that our staff knows of all these things that have transpired over the years that you were talking about. So I need to get together with them and say, are we doing this? Are we telling our tenants about this? These benefits that they're getting through pet screening. So you might be hearing from me if they don't, so we can get an education on what we have to offer. Is
I'll
because
get,
again, when you go from we started with you, we've just been using you, we've made the adjustments, any adjustments we had to. I'm sure we've done that. But if there's been things that have been exploded like you just described, I'm not sure we know about it.
Well, I love that you've shared that with me, Dave, and I'll reach out to your sales team member and your client success manager and ask them to get in touch with you. We do send out via email, but a lot of people's inboxes are just
Yeah.
like gremlin attacked every single night. Like, what all can they read every morning when they get in? But we do send out routine marketing announcements to them, cute little newsletters that talk about some of our different things. And it's always a good idea once in a while to go through the system, right? Have them do a pet profile, right? Get in touch with our support department, and we can probably give you a discount code where they don't actually have to pay, right? Because you don't have to refund their money to you. But have them do a pet profile. Have them all go through it and see what it's like. It's always a good thing. But yes, I'll reach out. I've written down Soto Property Solutions, and I'll reach out and get someone to reach out to you.
Okay, thanks.
My pleasure.
And for everybody on here, it's been very successful for us. We started years ago. This is really more of not having to deal with is it a comfort animal? Is it they take care of all of that. It's not for us to decide anymore. Just takes that out of our hands and we're covered. So
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you very much. Yeah, we do offer a guarantee. If you get a fair housing complaint because of the work we've done, we're going to jump in. We've got a guarantee on that for you, and we've got a great legal team. We've got 3 legal team members, and we've got north of 40 assistance animal reviewers. There's a couple other companies that do this kind of work, but they don't have anything like that. They probably in total don't have a dozen employees in any of those companies focused on this work. We've got over 180 of them. We've been out here for 8 years serving people like Dave and just getting better and better at what we do. Did we get Anne off of mute? So Anne, if you use your mouse and you move your cursor down to the bottom of your screen, that's when your controls will pop up. And the one that looks like an old-timey radio microphone is the one where you could unmute yourself. And I'm going to see, by the way, if I can unmute you. I'm going to give you an ask to unmute button that might make it easier for you to do so. So get ready, here it comes. I've sent you that ask to unmute so that you could see that and maybe click that and make it easier. Any other questions for me, John?
Let's see. Well, yeah, Nancy gave you 5 paws. I have to give you 5 paws myself. I think that was excellent. You gave us so much information. I was just blown away, to be honest with you. And she's
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. And it's all the slides are in the workbook for you, right? So what you saw is in that workbook. And again, you can spend time with it and get accommodated, and accustomed to thinking this way. That's probably the word I really wanted to use. Get more accustomed to thinking this way. I think it's really important, and the statistics bear it out. I did read recently somebody was trying to tell city planners. I thought this was very interesting. They had a thesis or theory that there were more dogs in their area than there were children. They found out that they were wrong, but they were hoping that they were, correct, because they wanted to provide city planners with the right information as to what they should be holding on to property for and how they should be using common space in the city. So they were thinking more bark parks than playgrounds. They found out that they were wrong with their study. But it's important to note, that more households do have dogs than children. But thank you for the 5 paws that I also got from Gina. I appreciate you very much. And I don't know that we've gotten Anne off mute, or if Anne really did have a question, or if it was just an accidental hand raise.
No,
Anne,
I'm off mute.
oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, Anne, what
I
can we
was
do
waiting.
for
I
you?
was waiting for you guys to finish.
Yes.
Okay, so with these policies for the pets, I am wondering the population, because you were going over the different ages and
Mhm.
Gen Z and all this stuff. I guess the affordability is the most concern for younger people, and how much it would be per month. And does that go by zip code or?
So are you meaning your monthly pet fees that you might charge someone who lives in one of your rentals?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's easy if you want to do your market research, around the country. It's somewhere between $20 and $50, and sometimes some of these A properties and high municipal centers, you're talking north of $50 a month per pet. And so I would just, contact, like you're a renter, contact a few rentals in your area that you might consider competitors and asking them about their pet policies if you can't see it on their listings already. Right? You can go online to Zillow, like you're a renter, and put pets as one of your parameters, and just look at the pet policies in your area, right? So there's numerous ways to do your market research. But across the country, and all the years I've been in the business, it's always been somewhere between 10 and 50. Now it's more like 20 and 50. And again, type A communities and high municipal centers, it can be north of 50, $75 a month, right? And some of our clients are using our FIDO scores to have tiered pricing structures, so that an animal that is less desirable, who might have more damaging bite habits likely in the future, because maybe they're a puppy today, 2 years from now, they'll get a better FIDO score, but now they have a higher likelihood of being damaged. Some of our clients are using our FIDO pricing to have our FIDO scoring to have scaled FIDO pricing. So they might say to somebody, our monthly pet rent is as much as $75, but once I get the pet screening results for your furry family, I'll let you know if I can do any better than that for you. That's what I call top talking. That's my language for that technique. I always would talk from the top, and I'll let you know if I can do any better than that for you. Because if you qualify people up here, you never have to worry. Like, so what are your 2 bedrooms rent for? Well, 2 bedrooms rent for as much as our initial deposit is as much as our monthly pet rent is as much as. Once I get the results of your screening, your pet screening, you select an apartment, we'll know if we can do better than that pricing for you. Right? It's just so much easier than talking range after price range with them. But do your market research where you are, Anne, and I'm sure you're going to find it's going to fall in that window somewhere.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And there was also Ann Bearden that we were talking about with her hand raised. So Ann Bearden, if you want to put something in chat before we go, let us know. Anything else, John?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I think I think we've all become better pet ambassadors already just from listening to you today, Victoria. So much to go over. I can't wait to actually watch the replay. Normally my rule is to get it up by Sunday is what I start doing, but I'm going to make sure I get this one up tonight. So, because I know there's a few people that wanted to watch it and they couldn't be here today. And this is such valuable information. I think we all need to just get on this. And I did put the workbook in the chat. I'll do that again before we leave, and I will also send it out as a follow-up today also. And but I'll tell you, it's such great information. I really appreciate that, Victoria. You've been
I
it's just amazing. I had no idea it was so deep, and I'm kind of like Dave. I know Dave Soto's been with us for quite a while now, and he knew about you before I did. And if he's learning stuff, you know I am. So
Well, thank you both. Thank you both. We appreciate you. We're 8 years old now, a little bit more than 8 years old here at Pet Screening. And back in the day, this was a brilliant solution. There was nothing else like it, but it has gotten so much better. I was employee 18. We're over 180 strong now. And in the past 5 years, we have just changed and grown and changed and grown. This really has become a pet perk for your parent. I mean, just think about somebody moving in, they're new to the area, and they can get a televet visit for their little furry family member who's feeling sick that next morning, right? What do they do? I mean, it's those moments when you can delight people and give them something so extra and is unexpected that just really is the glue to your relationships, right? When you can delight people and do something extra, that's what really glues us together. We all have basic expectations of one another, and people have lots of expectations of their landlords. But to delight them, like a Ritz-Carlton moment, my pleasure, just not a lot of folks are thinking that way or getting that out there in the rental property world. If you can give them a my pleasure, delightful moment, go for it and let us help you do it. But John, thank you for the delight of spending time with you all today. It's been my pleasure. And next month, you bet your assets. Let's do it.
yeah, we can't wait. And that'll be April the 17th. That's on a Friday again at 11 o'clock Central Time.
I look forward to it. That's a really good session. Don't bet your assets on your understanding of fair housing, because if you get a fair housing complaint, not if, really when you get a fair housing complaint, whomever spoke to or communicated with that individual and everyone in their chain of command is going to be on that complaint. And if it doesn't get settled in some fashion and it turns into a lawsuit, all those names are going to be on there too. And then everyone's assets are on the line, from the leasing team member's personal home to the management company's assets, right? Everybody's assets are on the line. That's why I named it You Bet Your Assets, because for years I was out on properties renting apartments, and I managed conventional housing as well as subsidized housing. And so it's not if you get a complaint. 40 years in the business, I had a few. And I will tell you about the one that I got, and it was about an assistance animal, and it was the only one we ever had to pay for. It was an $1,800 lesson, but I'm gonna give it to you guys for free. And then there's a $100,000 lesson that I would venture a guess, if we're all willing to be honest, we would probably get wrong. And I'll give you that lesson next month as well. $100,000 bonus.
Wow.
Victoria, this is Ann Bearden. No, you covered everything. Excellent job. So I have no questions.
Thank you, Ann Bearden. Thank you. We appreciate you. Come back next month, everybody, and bring a
Thank
friend.
you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We'll look forward to not betting our assets in the wrong way.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Get that
Victoria.
workbook before you go, and have a wonderful weekend.